Good Monday afternoon, and thank you for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Rena Sargentopoulos. Just in this afternoon, the Department of Homeland Security confirms it has and is reviewing body camera footage from multiple angles of the deadly shooting of Alex Preddy in Minneapolis. That shooting on Saturday morning, setting off another firestorm in Minnesota over the immigration enforcement operations here. Multiple angles of that shooting Saturday morning show Preddy being thrown to the ground by several Border Patrol agents. Then video shows him being disarmed before he is shot several times. Preddy is a licensed gun owner in Minnesota, and video that we have never shows him pull out the gun when he is interacting with these agents. DHS and Border Patrol say Preddy approached those agents brandishing a firearm. Right now, a judge is reviewing a case filed by the Hennepin County Attorney's Office and Bureau of Criminal Apprehension over the weekend. On Sunday, a judge ordered the feds to not tamper with evidence from the Alex Preddy shooting. That's after BCA says that they were blocked from the scene, preventing them from conducting the usual use of force investigation. Also today, a hearing on the state's lawsuit against DHS Secretary Kristi Noem that could impact the future of the large federal law enforcement presence in the state. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, along with Minneapolis and St. Paul, are seeking a temporary restraining order to stop Operation Metro Surge. New today, some apparent progress between Governor Tim Walz and President Trump about the ongoing immigration enforcement happening here in Minnesota. In a social media post, the president says Walz asked him to work together on the enforcement. Trump told Walz that immigration enforcement is looking for any and all criminals that they have in their possession. The president going on to say that crime is down in Minnesota and that he and Walz want to make it better. Governor Walz calling the phone call productive, saying he made the case to the president that impartial investigations of these shootings need to happen and that the number of federal agents in Minnesota needs to be reduced. The president, according to Walz, agreed to talk to the Department of Homeland Security about ensuring that the Minnesota BCA can conduct an independent investigation and look into reducing the number of federal agents in Minnesota. Within the last few hours, we have learned that border czar Tom Homan is headed to Minnesota. According to the White House, Homan will be flying here tonight and will report directly to President Trump. The president says Homan is, quote, tough but fair and knows and likes many of the people in Minnesota. In that same post, President Trump announced the Department of Justice is investigating Congresswoman Ilhan Omar over connections with welfare fraud. Right now, University of Minnesota students are walking out to protest against federal immigration enforcement actions in Minnesota. Organizers say they're demanding, quote, a sanctuary campus, real safety from the university, and no collaboration between the U of M Police Department and ICE. Right now, police say federal agents used chemical irritants without notice or communication during protest response last night. This is video from overnight, and it shows protesters outside the Home to Suites that's near the U of M, where people believe federal agents are staying. Police called in the State Patrol and the DNR to help break up that crowd and make arrests after they started spray painting windows and damaging property. Authorities say one federal agent on scene was injured. The Minneapolis Police Department says their officer attempted to provide aid to that agent. Any further assistance from MPD was refused by federal supervisors on the scene. That is according to officials. A former CIA agent and former prosecutor who is now a defense attorney is calling for the officers involved in this weekend's shooting to face charges. Sharon Hughes spoke with that former agent, now asking for their arrests.
Like many others who have seen the multiple video angles of Alex Preddy being gunned down by federal agents, criminal defense attorney Jack Rice had a similar reaction.
I'm horrified by what I'm seeing.
Rice says it's even more concerning the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension has been shut out of investigating yet another ICE-involved homicide in the state. But he says that doesn't mean the state cannot prosecute the agent accused.
You can try to exclude a lot of evidence, but what we have are cell phones. So you may think as the government, federal or state, that you can control the crime scene. The problem is with a cell phone, everybody is an investigative reporter.
Plus, the former prosecutor says he didn't observe Alex Preddy doing anything criminal.
He was armed. He had a license to carry. And you can't shoot somebody simply because they have a weapon. It simply is a bright line that the feds crossed.
That line, bright enough. The Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus issued a statement, quote, "Every peaceable Minnesotan has the right to keep and bear arms, including while attending protests, acting as observers, or exercising their First Amendment rights. These rights do not disappear when someone is lawfully armed, and they must be respected and protected at all times." This despite FBI Director Kash Patel implying in a Fox News interview that it was illegal for Alex Preddy to practice his Second Amendment rights by having a weapon.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you wanted.
Showing up to a protest with a gun is a constitutionally protected right. He had the right to have a weapon.
As of right now, no charges have been filed. Today, we're learning the FBI has set up a crisis coordination center here in Minneapolis, according to CNN. They're reportedly asking agents around the country to staff it. The agency says it is looking for people to help collect intelligence on groups and organizers who are targeting immigration agents and their operations here in Minneapolis. New today, Chris Mattel is ending his bid for Minnesota governor, partially over Operation Metro Surge. In a 10-minute video posted to Twitter, Mattel says that he supports ICE and immigration enforcement, but that what is happening in Minnesota is going too far. He says he's spoken to countless American citizens who have been stopped by ICE just for the color of their skin. He also says it is nearly impossible for a Republican to win a statewide race in Minnesota. You can watch Mattel's entire announcement right now on KARE11.com. Today, we're also learning more about the victim in this weekend's shooting, 37-year-old Alex Preddy. New video shared on social media shows him holding a tribute for a veteran who passed away at a local VA hospital a few years ago. Take a listen.
Today, we remember that freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it. May we never forget and always remember our brothers and sisters who have served so that we may enjoy the gift of freedom. So in this moment, we remember and give thanks for their dedication and selfless service to our nation in the cause of our freedom. In this solemn hour, we render them our honor and our gratitude.
We know that Preddy graduated from the University of Minnesota, and as we mentioned, he was an ICU nurse at the VA. Now there's a growing memorial outside that hospital. Audrey Russo has that story.
When flowers bloom in the dead of winter, it's not nature's way.
And that's a hard way to feel.
A growing garden outside the Minneapolis VA hospital is rooted in condolences.
Pay my respects and say a few words,
And tended by grief.
To walk by somebody's place of work and not bring flowers felt wrong.
It's where Alex Preddy worked until Saturday, when the ICU nurse, observing immigration operations, was shot and killed by federal agents. Videos of his death,
and I fell apart.
Seen by the veterans he nurtured back to health.
And I've been a mess ever since.
Marta Crownhart was Alex's patient just weeks ago.
He took 20 minutes with me and sat with me and even said a prayer with me. He held my hand and he told me things were going to get better.
A fate reaped by everyone but Preddy.
He cared for me and he cared for all these vets.
Returning for care among the flowers.
I go back tomorrow.
Blooming in a never-ending season of grief.
It's going to be tough.
In Minneapolis, Audrey Russo, KARE 11 News.
New today, the Supreme Court allowing a lawsuit to move forward involving the death of a Minneapolis man, Amir Locke, shot by a law enforcement officer in 2022. At issue is this body camera video that shows Minneapolis police officers serving a no-knock warrant at an apartment where Locke was sleeping. The warrant did not name Locke as a suspect. Just moments after officers enter, Officer Mark Hanneman shot and killed the 22-year-old man. Hanneman argues the body video shows Locke raised his gun and pointed it at police, saying that should give him qualified immunity. However, Locke's family said the video shows him lowering the weapon, which an appeals court said is difficult to disprove. With the Supreme Court declining to step in, Locke's family can continue to seek damages. Let's take a live look from our nation's capital, where this afternoon Congress is up against the clock to avoid a government shutdown by Friday. But there's a new twist. Senate Democrats say they will not vote for the current funding bill following the deadly shooting of Alex Preddy. Democrats say they cannot support any funding bill that includes money for Homeland Security. The bill could come up for a vote as soon as tomorrow. Happening right now, a slow but noticeable warm up this afternoon in the Twin Cities. Some spots getting above zero for the first time in a few days, but the wind still making it feel much colder. We're going to check in with the weather team in just a few minutes. Right now, U.S. officials say the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and several guided missile destroyers have arrived in the Middle East region. This comes after the Trump administration issued multiple warnings to Tehran following the brutal crackdown on protesters and talks of restarting its nuclear program. Last week, President Trump said, quote, "An armada is headed toward Iran, but hoped that military action could be avoided." The U.S. allies are also urging the president to hold off. Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.